my name is Malak, and I am a software engineer at Microhub. My main tech stack is, I would say, React. On a daily basis, I usually use React, JavaScript, and then PHP on the back end. And previously, I was at Microsoft Teams in particular. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. I was working on the new Copilot feature, so basically integrating Copilot into Microsoft Teams. And I actually launched that feature to around 300 million people. So yeah, let's get started. Today, I'm going to be talking about how you can use Cursor on your daily basis to kind of optimize your dev workflows. So how many of you guys are familiar with Cursor? Okay, how many of you guys use Cursor on a daily basis? Okay, cool. So for people who don't know what Cursor is, it's kind of like an AI code editor that can be integrated with VS Code, and that can also help you kind of code, but in a more efficient way. Today, I'm going to be covering a few of the main points that Cursor can be used for. So this is what I'm going to be covering. First of all, I'm going to talk about some very important Cursor settings that are kind of crucial for you to have the best Cursor experience. Then I'm going to show a quick demo on how you could fix a bug, a very simple bug. Then I'm going to go over how you could write tasks using Cursor. And then I'm going to talk about how you can write documentation using Cursor. And then finally, I'm going to cover how you can use Cursor for Git, for example, like automatically writing commit messages. So let's get started. Okay, so this is a very important setting that I think kind of like changes the whole game for Cursor. Is you want to have your default mode on agent mode. Hold on, let me show you what it looks like in real life. Okay, so most of the Cursor settings are here in the chat. I'm going to close the tab. Okay, so this is where like all of the Cursor settings are. It's here in the chat. And the more you go into the intricacies of each of these settings, the better your experience is with Cursor. So the first thing is you want to make sure your default mode is on agent, because otherwise it's like you're talking to ChatGPT. It's not really modifying your code. If you want to let it modify your code, you have to set it to agent. The second setting is run everything. So you have to go to auto run mode. It's down here. So it says choose how agent runs tools like command execution and file writes. This makes a difference because if it's not on runs everything, it's basically going to keep asking you if you want it to run everything or not. Once you set it to run everything, it's going to automatically make changes. It's going to automatically add to GitHub. It's going to automatically install packages and everything else. So you want to set it to run everything. And you also want to make sure to read some of these settings. For example, file deletion protection. You should turn this on so that it doesn't delete any files without your permission. Okay. Okay, rules. These are hold on, let me go to it. So you can add roles to your Cursor and kind of ask it what to do and what to not do. This is just a simple example. I just wrote, don't run npm run dev after making changes. Because Cursor automatically just assumes that you can just add things that you can specify things that you want it to do, so it doesn't waste time and it doesn't make changes that you don't want it to do. So let's do a simple bug fix. First of all, using ask and then using the agent mode. Okay, so I have a simple like front-end code here, simple TypeScript code. this is kind of like the chat where you can ask. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do, as you can see, it says there's 2 errors in this file. So first thing you can do is you can literally just copy it, paste it here, and say fix, and it's gonna go find it, and it's going to tell you how to fix it, but it's not going to fix it for you. Okay, so it looked for the bug, and it told you how to fix it. And then because I am on ask mode, it doesn't do it for you automatically. I think this is good sometimes to be on ask mode because you kind of like learn and you actually have to read through it rather than just let it automatically do everything for you. And it's actually good if you're working on a bigger code base because it's safer I guess it's just safer for the code base to not change or delete files. So this is method 1. Method 2, you can just set it to agent mode and ask it to fix it again. It's gonna create a new page, fix bug. Or you can literally just highlight the code block and then it's gonna do it for you. Yeah, it's done. And you can just click here, see what it changed. Obviously here the green is the new change, the red is the previous one, and then if you want to apply the change, you press this. If you don't want to apply it, you press this. So in this case, I'm just gonna do this and then save it. I forgot my glasses today, so I can't really read you guys' stuff, but you can go ahead. Okay, so the next thing is writing unit tests. Unit tests are really important if you're working in a bigger code base. If you're just working at a startup, I think most of them don't really write unit tests unless they scale. For example, when I was at Microsoft, we had to add unit tests for every single change we made. So I think it's important. Okay. So let's say we want to add unit tests for this file, for example. You can just say, this is a prompt, by the way, that I crafted. So let me explain this. This is just an example. You can say, write Python unit test for the following file, cover edge cases, normal cases, error handling, use clear descriptive test names, and then do not rewrite the function, only generate the tests. You don't have to go this, you don't really have to explain this much unless you have something specific that you wanted to cover. Or you can literally just say, write unit tests, and it's gonna go in your code base, recognize what you're using for the tests, and then it's gonna write it for you. And then you just let it run. Okay, so one thing I like about Cursor is this to-do list right here. You can kind of like follow through every single thing that it's doing. For example, here it's telling you that it's setting up the testing framework. It already recognized that we're using Jest plus the React testing library. Actually, if you don't have any testing framework, it goes ahead and installs it for you. As you can see here, it made some changes to my package.json, so it's installing all of the dependencies that are needed for the tests. And then You can see everything that it's doing, and if you don't want it to do something, you can literally just interrupt it and press that stop button right here. So yeah, here it's installing all of the packages, everything, and it's creating the test. It's gonna take a little bit of time. Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, we can talk about documentation and release notes. So actually, this is very useful if, again, you work for a corporate environment that needs some sort of documenting your code. So you can ask it to generate documentation for your code, in this case, READMEs, and then ask it to include project descriptions, installations, usage examples, tests, and instructions. And then you can specify the audience so that it's very particular in how it writes the documentation for you. So yeah, we can try that as well. As you can see here, it created a new file for me called page.test.tsx, and this is where all of the tests are. Currently, it's still installing some of the dependencies. That's why we have some errors here. But yeah, we can move on to documentation since it's going to take a little while. So I'm going to copy the prompt here. And then let's just say you can copy the change that you wanted to talk about, or you can just talk about the project in general. So I'm just going to write documentation for the full projects. And yeah. In the meantime, you can still see what it's doing in terms of the tests. So you can run multiple things at the same time, and you can keep track of the tabs and see where it's at exactly. Yeah. Also, another cool feature for Cursor is that you can choose what model to use. I prefer Claude 4 Sine, but you can pick whichever one you want. There's Gemini, GPT. If you're using the free model, you can just set it on auto. And personally, I pay for Cursor, so I'm usually using Claude 4 Sine. And yeah, you can see it's writing the documentation and it's on Markdown, which is good. Okay, so let's move on to Git. So a really cool feature about Cursor is that you can make it generate your commit messages. And I think it's a cool feature because a lot of developers spend a lot of time writing commit messages. So let's say I want to save this. Let's say I want to commit these changes that we just added. So I'm going to go ahead and stage them. And then I can just click this right here. And it's going to automatically generate an overview of what we did and also description of every single change that we made. And yeah, you can just go ahead and commit it. And it's so much easier. You don't have to go manually write your commit messages since it takes a lot of time. And yeah, as you can see in the README, it's super good. It's very descriptive. and it's very fast. Okay. Okay, well, this is it for today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Yes, go ahead. Codex. We use it at work for documentation.
You can come over here for questions so that everyone can hear. And it'll also go on the StreamYard as well. In fact, I'll bring it to you. Here you go.
Sorry, I'm going to repeat my question. My question was...
It's not on.
Sorry, I'm going to... Is it on?
I can hear him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to repeat my question. My question was, do you use Codex as opposed to Cursor with GPT-5?
Yes, I use Codex.
And how do you find it?
I think it's good. I prefer Cursor because it's more hands-on. It's not like everything's running in the background. I like to see what's going on, basically. How do you like it?
I think it's great. I usually give it a command.
Yeah. That's good. Sorry, can you repeat that?
No, I was just going to say that Pulsar has background agents.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Yeah, I was just telling him that, like, I prefer seeing visually, like, what changes and progressively supervising it.
Is this on? Can you hear me? Good?
Yeah.
All right. First, thanks for doing this. I love Cursor. One of the biggest issues I guess I would have is getting third-party APIs. Do you recommend a certain workflow? Right now, I'm using Contact 7, like MCP, to get like a library of these APIs. How do you go about getting documentation that's not like going page by page, copying and pasting, the text?
I think you can do that with Cursor. I think you just ask it, tell it what you want to do, and then.
So would you just copy the URL for the third-party API
Yeah.
docs? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Of course. Any more questions?